you got to have some serious practice time. The injuries are ridiculous across the board. Achilles injuries are up like never before. ACL injuries are up like never before. MCLs, PCL injuries are up like higher than ever before.
Wait for you. Let's get it back to the Eagles, as somebody used to say. OTAs today. OTAs, and they're only going to have 6. Do you guys find this interesting? They're having one today. I don't think anything tomorrow, and then back at it on Thursday, right? Tomorrow's Wednesday. So they're going to have 6 altogether. You can have up to 10. And this is sort of the way that Sirianni's done it. You guys know. You guys were down at camp last year, just like I was. He did not run what you would call a grueling camp as far as that goes. But I will say this. They did pretty well injury-wise, knock on wood.
Right.
So it's hard to really fault him, but he believes in real hard work for a real contained, finite period of time, but he does not drag it out. So he's only going to do 6. Should he do more?
Dude, with the volume of injuries across the board in the league, and I go back to the players of the early 2000s. When I talked to them in recent years, they said, man, and Barrett has said this also, your body needs time to harden up to get ready for the collisions that they're going to have on a weekly basis. And I don't care how much you train with a personal trainer during the off season, these so-called, these flag football OTAs and mini camps they have now, you got to have some serious practice time. The injuries are ridiculous across the board. Achilles injuries are up like never before. ACL injuries are up like never before. MCLs, PCL injuries are up like higher than ever before. And at some point, I understand the players, got this in their latest collective bargaining agreement. They're talking about preserving their bodies. But you're not preserving your body if you can't play. And I don't understand how they feel they're ready for the rigors of a 17-game season with the way they go about their business nowadays. Because, Barrett, when you and I, we've been out of practice, the first thing we say, wait a minute, that's it? That's
right.
it? They're done? And you expect to get ready for a season like that?
How do they get in shape for a season?
Exactly.
It's a difference between running and lifting and doing drills than to go out there and trying to push and pull and move a 300-pound man. You can't get yourself in shape doing that unless you're doing that. That's the difference when going out, and having a guy be ready to be hit and not be hit, man. Because your body gets used to being sore. Your body has to get used to that. Your body has to get used to, almost breaking something in order to feel like, all right, my body, I can take it to this level and go past this level because I've felt this way. They don't do that. So evidently it worked. They made it to the playoffs. They had, the least amount of injury I've seen in the past 3 or 4 years. So I guess there is some credence to, what he's doing, but right. I don't know, man. I mean, I can remember back in the day, guys would use, like when I first got in the league, I would talk to guys like Guy McIntyre who played with, Jerry Rice and those guys.
The Niners back in the day,
when they were winning championships.
Yeah. Yep.
Then I, would talk to Riley McKenzie, one of the original Hogs. And they said that, guys would come in smoking cigarettes. Those are different athletes back then.
Oh, yeah.
They smoked cigarettes at halftime, stuff like that. But they said that they would use training camp to get in shape. They wouldn't even run. They used training camp to get in shape. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference between these athletes these days and there, because back in those days, guys would go get them a job after the season was over with. They were selling cars or doing construction or something like that. They weren't full-time football players. Now, people are full-time football players, so you work out. You don't go to an extra job. You come in shape, as opposed to you trying to get yourself and build your body to get in shape.
I wonder, Barrett, though, like there's no doubt you look at these guys, they look like Adonises. Like there's no question compared to what back in the day.
Jordan Mailata.
Yeah, it's unreal. But I don't know. Are you better off just like having a cooling off period for a couple of months like they used to back in the day? Because they had to go work a regular job where they couldn't be with a physical trainer 24/7 like these guys are. Like I don't know if that just takes more stress, puts more stress on your joints and some other things where we're seeing some injuries because they're going all year round. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know it sounds counterintuitive. You would think, man, be in the best shape you can be in when you show up at camp. Are you almost better off chilling for a while where these guys maybe don't as much anymore?
Well, they're making my whole theory making me a liar because it worked for them.
Yeah. Look, I hear you. And it did work for the Eagles last year. There's no question about it. I'm trying to think, other than Brandon Brooks we love Brandon Brooks, but he had been breaking down. That wasn't really a shock that he ended up getting hurt. I'm just trying to think of the other like Lane stepped away voluntarily. What were the major injuries last year? Am I missing an obvious one here?
They had to shuffle the offensive line a little bit, if memory serves me correct. They had some injuries along the offensive line where they moved some guys around. But in terms
Brandon Graham, obviously. Brandon Graham is one.
Yeah. But outside of that, they didn't have many major injuries on this team compared to some teams.
Yeah. So, I mean, and you remember the Eagles went through that stretch where, man, it felt like soft tissue injuries left and right. Guys were going down a lot.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
And and a lot of this is just luck of the draw too. Like, it didn't happen. Nobody got rolled up on, fortunately, or, just things you can't control, but they didn't have nearly as many. So I know it bothers people, old school people, especially, but until proven otherwise, it worked last year. I'm going to roll with it. I'm with you guys where I wonder, are they going to be really ready? Are they going to be tackling well week one? But I see that around the league where they're not tackling well week one. It's not just
no. I long for the days of Andy Reid training camps up at Lehigh. You had 2 sessions a day, and they were hard sessions. They were not cakewalks. By the end of the week, he would go light on you. But for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I mean, it was like you put your hand in the dirt, and they were thumping every day. And, these players nowadays, I understand if they get away from the game for a month, let your body and your mind healed up. I get it. I mean, these guys are bigger, faster, stronger. The collisions are more violent than ever in the game they play today. But the injury factor has risen to the point where I think both the NFLPA and the league need to take a step back and look at their overall way that they're going about their business. Because outside of the quarterback, who's basically untouchable, it's open season on everybody else across the board in the NFL.
Yeah. And it's interesting to me, and Nick has incorporated this, and a lot of guys are in league. I think one of the best steps they've taken, and Barrett, you could appreciate this, especially later in your career, is these maintenance days for the older guys. Like, Kelsey, there's not much Kelsey's going to learn out there. Exactly. So I'm perfectly fine with that. Hey, Jason Kelsey's off on Wednesday. Great.
Yep.
Brandon Graham's off Thursday. Okay, no problem. Like, I have zero issue with that.
Yep.
What I don't like is in preseason games, like, we may not see, I don't know, I'm just throwing it in the Kobe Dean. We may not see, fill in the blank. That to me, I think is a mistake. I think those guys, just to get, even if it's preseason, to get the speed of that from what it was, and granted, they were playing at the highest college level. I know that to me is where I'd like to see a little bit more, where you don't see hardly any.
Right. What? I mean, a lot of these guys don't get their full speed reps until they go into the season.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how they do that. And I can understand, not, coming in and beating yourself up in camp, but at least get the speed of the game down. These young guys, some of these young guys are going in like Dickerson. Dickerson came in, didn't have any reps in the preseason.
No.
He still played all right, but he had, he struggled a little bit the first 2 games. I think younger guys, even I think Hurts needs to go out there and play a little more during this preseason because he wants to get the timing down with the rest of these young guys, which means that A.J. Brown's going to have to play a little more. Devontae Smith is going to have to play a little more, just to get the timing right of going out there, and that way you hit the ground running. You can't make those game ups after a loss. You know what I'm saying? So, you win all you can. See, that's why I don't understand what the Phillies are doing. All right, we're trying to save our bullpen for later on the season. No, you win games now. Yeah, so you don't have to make them up later.
Saving them for when you're mathematically eliminated. They'll be nice and fresh. Yeah, I agree. It's strange because I go back and forth on this. The chicken and the egg thing is the challenge, Barrett. Like, if you wanted to get Hurts a couple reps, you'd have to have the starting offensive line in there because you don't want him getting killed you know, with backups. So it's tough. I mean, I think they view it that way. Like, you know, if we do put Jalen in there, we better have Mailata in there. We better have Lane in there and Kelsey and Dickerson, who you just referenced. Like, those guys all better be in there if he's going to be playing, or else, you know, you know how it is. Somebody gets beat blindside, he gets killed. That's it. Your season's over.
Over.
Yeah. We've seen it.
The season with Gardner Minshew.
Right. Meaning it's over. If Gardner Minshew.
Why, you don't believe in Gardner?
No. It drove me nuts the way people went. Look, he's fine for a backup. He's a fine backup in the league. He's not a starter. And people, oh, look at him lighting up the Jets. First of all, he didn't light the Jets up, number one. And he beat the Jets, which you should do. So don't throw a parade
for that.
For Minshew because he beat the Jets. He did what he was supposed to. He's fine. You need him for a game or two like you did last year? I'm in. Long term? No.
Well, considering there's not even 32 legitimate starting quarterbacks in the National Football League, who knows? Gardner Minshew could be a starter somewhere. I believe Gardner Minshew could start in Houston right now.
Well,
when you look at what they have, you know.
I would, if you got the right offer, Derek,
Yeah.
I would absolutely entertain moving him in a second.
Yep.
I like having him. The perfect setup for this team is you have two quarterbacks that are dirt cheap, like a really quality backup.
Yep.
In Minshew, and Jalen Hurts on a second round deal, entering his third season, which that allows you to do the stuff they've done this offseason. That stuff's not happening if they have an Aaron Rodgers,
Carson Wentz,
extreme, but a Carson Wentzian kind of contract.
Right.
You're not doing any of this stuff. You know, that's the thing. We talk about all these moves they've made. Tell me which ones they're doing if you have a contract for a quarterback that's making that kind of money.
Phew. Wow.
I just know from the standpoint of us talking about, you know, reps, us talking about health, us talking about how this team is going to go forward. It really doesn't compute to me, and it's not because I'm old school, but I do know you get better by playing. You get better with playing football by playing football.
Like anything, you get better at anything, but
Right.
especially at a game like that, the physicality of it. You know,
Right.
Baseball, I guess you could see enough live BP, or you can have some of your own pitchers do some simulated stuff, and you know you can get yourself up to speed or take ground balls. There's nothing like football.
You can't go through a simulation of reps in your head, you know, and like, I mean, I did stuff like that, you know, when I was playing. You know, I would play the entire game through my head the night before on what I was going to do, and you know, but it still didn't change the fact that I needed to be out there playing in order to get better as a football player.
Yeah, but I'm a big believer, Barrett, in like seeing something happen for yourself, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, I believe in that. I do with everything in life. But you're right. I mean, it's the physical nature of it. But that, you know what? It's not just the Eagles. Almost everybody's now. Belichick, a couple guys are excited. Like, you'll see Mac Jones playing preseason games.
Right.
Belichick. So there are
young
exceptions.
guy though. See, young guy.
Right, but Belichick's old school. He would have Brady in those games.
Right,
you know?
exactly. And it's to think, all right, you got Brady in there, but you don't want to put Jalen Hurts in there. I mean,
yeah,
you know, the nerve of somebody the GOAT is playing and not having the younger guy play.
I know, and it's the eternal, you know, argument that we're always going to have is how the value of these guys not getting hurt versus maybe not being on their A game. I don't know. I look back at that first game against Atlanta, and granted, the Falcons turned out to be not a great team, especially defensively, but Hurts was pretty sharp in that game. Yeah, the offense clicked pretty decently.
Yeah, it did.
So I guess that's why
they sucked really bad though.
Yeah, they did stink. But I mean, they're going to be. It's not like you're playing, you know, murderer's row coming out either to begin the season if you're the Eagles.
But see, we're sitting here talking about what we think the Eagles should do in terms of ramping up the practice time and the preseason time for starters. But if you look at their schedule, at the very minimum, as much as we hem and haw about what they're not doing to prepare themselves for the season, they should be at the bare bones minimum 3-1 after their first 4 games.
Absolutely.
3-1. Detroit, Minnesota, Washington, Jacksonville.
Yep.
3-1 at the bare bones minimum coming out of the gate. Now, when you get to Arizona, Dallas, Pittsburgh, that's going to be a little interesting. Then you got Houston. Yeah. Then you got Washington again. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you should be 2, 4, 6, 8, 6-2 at the worst.
Yeah.
after those first 8 games.
Yeah, you want to give yourself some rope for when it gets a little bit more challenging, for sure.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Got to win now, man. And the old proverbial way in which you see who your team is, what type of team you are, what you do best is after the 4th game. After the 4th game, you should have your identity.
Yeah, quarter
but
ball.
That didn't work out for the Eagles. They didn't learn their identity till the 8th game.
Yeah.
So they made a bunch of stuff they got going on. Just it's just almost counter what you would think from a regular NFL team and how
No, you're right.
How things go about being an NFL team.
Well, let me throw this out. It's a sad note, but Jeff Gladney, you guys remember the D-back who played at TCU with Jalen Reagor? He passed away in a car accident over the weekend. This is the second guy that a second close friend of Reagor that he's lost in the last 2 years. He lost one last year before the season and another one. I just, I feel for him. You know what I mean? Like he's already in a very tough predicament going into the season to begin with from a pressure standpoint and from a job standpoint. And then, you throw this on top of it, man. Thoughts go out to, the Gladney family and Reagor, who tweeted out immediately he was one of his best friends. So tough situation, man. So feel for him. That's for sure. All right. We'll do a little bit more Eagles when we get back there. Do you want to add something there?
No.
Oh, okay. We'll jump around and do some NFL a little bit later. We're going to rank our top teams in the entire NFL and see where the Eagles fall on that list. We broaden this thing out beyond the NFC East and and just the National Football Conference, the NFC in general.
We're talking dogs and vasectomies.
We're talking don't pull the goalie. Yeah, we're talking about a lot of different things today. We have Top Gun. We give you everything. There's nothing you don't get on this show, and it'll continue to be that way because we're whack jobs, basically.
I'm never going to forget that, Rob. Don't pull the goalie. I got to use that one.
Exactly right.
I'm never going to forget that one.
And you don't even have to. I won't even copyright it. It's all yours.
Thank you.
Whenever you want it, man, it's yours.
All
right, we come back. We'll do a little NBA, little Sixers, because there is some Joel Embiid updates, some news from Joel Embiid, and I want to kind of hit you guys with a couple different Sixers angles that we'll talk about when we get back. Barrett Brooks, Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. By the way, check out the website, jakibsports.com. All right, want to let everybody know about Pro Action Restoration. My good friends over there, and if you have a home, a business, a property that's got any kind of water damage, any kind of fire damage, smoke, whatever the case may be, you got some mold that you're dealing with and you're not really sure who to turn to, they're the ones you want to turn to. They're on call 24/7. They can assist you at any time, any place, any day of the week. I experienced water damage at my parents' house a couple years back, and it was a mess. They were upset. I was upset. I reached out to Pro Action. They got over there quick. They stopped the issue, number one. They cleaned everything up, and I couldn't believe I was blown away at the price and how reasonable it was. And that, from that day on, man, started my relationship with the Pro Action crew. They were just absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. They're licensed, bonded, fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action will work in conjunction with your insurance company. Again, whether it's water, fire, smoke damage, mold remediation, you name it, they can handle it. Give them a call at 610-623-3760, or you can reach out to them at proactionrestoration.com.